It's nice to see you, Carrie. It's really nice. So, as you know, often I see things on social media. I'm a little bit active on Facebook, in case you didn't know that. But I really love it because it's quite inspiring. You know, I see an amazing quote sometimes, or I hear a story, or a funny joke, or a funny meme, or a great video, or maybe just a cool concept that makes me think. So what I do, y'all may not know this, but there's a save button on Facebook. And so I save videos and I save different things. And then if I'm kind of, I need some inspiration or something like that, I'll go to my saved videos or my saved whatever is there, and I always get something, right? So that's what happened with this concept about the 3 C's. And I knew immediately that I wanted to do a talk about it, not only because the concept is kind of clever, which you'll find out in just a minute, but it was also a profound spiritual truth. And one of the things that I love the most about this teaching that looks for God everywhere is that we can find profound spiritual truths in just about anything. You agree? Yeah. For instance, I have one for you. Here. There's a man who walked into the ladies' department of Macy's and rather shyly and embarrassedly walked up to the woman behind the counter and said, I'd like to buy a bra for my wife. What type of bra? Asked the clerk. Yes, you are at a spiritual center. We're talking about bras. Okay, get over it. What type of bra? Asked the clerk. Type, said the man. There's more than one type. Look around, said the sales lady, and she showed a sea of bras in every shape, color, size, and material. She said, actually, though, even with all the variety, they really only 4 types of bras. Confused, the man asked, what are the 4 types of bras? And she said, it's quite simple. The Baptist type, the Salvation Army type, the Presbyterian type, and the Catholic type. Which one do you need? Still confused, the man asked, what's the difference? And she said, oh, it's quite simple. The Baptist type makes mountains out of molehills. Salvation Army type lifts up the fallen. The Presbyterian type keeps them staunch and upright. And the Catholic type supports the masses. Makes up for last week. So the first of the 3 C's is chance. Now, when I use the word chance, I'm not talking about chances and luck or coincidence. In this teaching, we don't believe in luck. We don't believe in coincidences. We believe that circumstances and people come into our lives in such a way that it might appear that we're having some luck or that it's a coincidence. But what it really is a natural response of the universe to the energy that we are putting out, which then comes back to us. In other words, we are attracting those things and those people to us by right of consciousness. Is that making sense? So we don't actually believe in luck. We don't believe in coincidences. And when we recognize and we act on the opportunities that are making themselves available to us, we are basically making our own luck. Yes? You with me so far? So that's the kind of chance, not that guy either. That's the kind of chance that I'm talking about here. A chance, an opportunity, an opening, a possibility. Because when we are living an awake and an aware life to the best of our ability, we recognize that opportunities and possibilities are all around us. They are everywhere. The chance to succeed, the chance to be happy, the chance to be wealthy, the chance to be self-expressed is everywhere. We live in a sea of limitless possibility Do you get that? Can I get an amen to that? We live in a sea of limitless possibility. Say that with me. I live in a sea of limitless possibility. The challenge is that sometimes we're so busy looking to God or to somebody else out there to give us just a wee little bit of luck. Or perhaps just give us a chance. Give me a chance. All I need is my chance. That we don't actually see that we're surrounded by it. When we look to outside forces, whether it's a deity or another person, to make things happen for us, we don't realize that it always starts here inside of us first. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, put it this way. Everything that is consciously and subjectively embodied in our thinking tends to radiate an atmosphere, a vibration, a current of thought, an inward acceptance which automatically attracts itself to, which automatically attracts to itself that which is like itself. In other words, you put out a vibe and you attract it back. You put out an unlucky vibe, you put out a lucky vibe. It's basic metaphysics. We live in an inside-out universe. So during the course of this talk, I'm going to actually tell you a personal story. Like it or not, you're going to hear it. Anyway. Today is St. Patrick's Day, right? I call it St. Patricia's Day. Everybody celebrates the luck of the Irish. I am celebrating my 33rd sobriety birthday today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I had my last drink on March 16th, 1986. Several of you were not even born then. Seriously. And I've shared this before. My life prior to that day was not going well. It was not swimming. Yet I was a victim to everybody and everything. I had bad luck. So as a result, I didn't think that I had very many chances to have a successful life. However, since then, through those years of sobriety, through studying the science of mind, what has happened is that I've developed the consciousness, the expectancy, the inner belief of my right to be happy and to be successful. As a result, what I've done is I've learned to recognize the opportunities that have come to me that have allowed me to now live the life that I live, which is far different than it was on March 16th, 1986. It's not that I'm particularly lucky or that the universe likes me the best. It's that I've done my work. I've done my inner work so that I can see and act on chances when they make themselves available. Here's what Abraham Lincoln said, I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. I will prepare. So our job is to prepare ourselves by doing our inner work, by doing the things that we know, so that when the chance does show up, we can recognize it, and then we can act on it. Which brings us to our second C, which is choice. At every point of our lives, we are at choice as to how we're going to respond. It's just true. It's true. We may not think we have a choice always, but we always have a choice. So when a chance makes itself known to us, we get to choose then what we are going to do with that chance. We're going to either act on it or we're going to let it go by. Raise your hand if you've ever had an opportunity or a chance that has made itself known to you and you've allowed it to pass you by. Yep. And then a little while later, you see that idea has come into fruition and giving somebody else a great deal of success. Yeah. Mine is, you used to have the stationary bicycles, right? Way back when. And I kept thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they put a TV right there? And you could have a path and, you're going through the Alps or something like that. Wouldn't that be a cool idea? Somebody else thought of it. Because it was an idea whose time had come. It just wasn't my idea to bring to fruition. Does that make sense? Understand what I'm saying? Life is all about choices. In fact, Ernest Holmes said this. He said, man has self-choice or he would not be a person. And having choice implies there must be more than one thing from which to choose. The very freedom with which he is endowed makes it possible for him to use that freedom, at least temporarily, in a way that will restrict him. Otherwise, he would not be free. That's a huge statement. We are free, and we are bound sometimes because we are free. Yes? Yeah. The good news, again, is as we become more awake, as we become more aware, we can learn to trust ourselves. And we can know that the choices that we are making are there for our soul's evolution. So to continue a little bit with my story, after I got sober, and I started coming to this teaching, I was sober about 2 years, and then somebody invited me to my first Center for Spiritual Living. And then I, by chance, was told this, I wasn't going to talk about this, but this true story, went to a psychic fair. And a gal, you choose who you're going to go see. I went to go see this gal who did tarot cards. And she looked at me, she laid my cards, and she said, "You got some real spiritual cards." I said, "Oh, you know what? I have a spiritual life now. I sing at that time it was called a Church of Religious Science. In fact, I just sang here there this morning." And she looked at me, she said, "You're going to have a singing ministry." It was like my whole life came together in that point. All that disparate stuff just lined up. Chance and choice. And I registered in classes that very next semester. I knew that that was my path. So 7 years later, after I graduated from ministerial training, because it takes that long, I actually created 2 different opportunities or chances to do ministry. The first one would require that I take another year of training, so a little bit more advanced training, so that I could be an assistant minister of a center where I was quite active. And it was a very safe choice for me because it didn't involve a whole lot of risk, except for a little bit of extra money and some time. The other opportunity that came up right at the same time was to take over a tiny, struggling little spiritual center in a town called Temecula, California. They needed a senior minister. They needed a minister. And the advantage was that I could do it right away. The disadvantage was it was a larger risk emotionally. Okay? So chance gave me 2 separate opportunities. Either one of them would let me be a minister, but one took risk and the other had no risk. Each one of them had pluses and minuses. Each of them required something different of me. So I weighed the 2 options. Remember, this is clear as day. And ultimately, I decided that it was time for me to take the risk. And so I went for the more immediate but riskier chance. And I agreed to be the minister of a center that had 12 people and $35 in the checking account. And I never regretted that decision. It was the right one for me, without question. If my life circumstances had maybe been different, I might have been better served by the other, but I had enough faith within me and my own wisdom to make that choice and know that it was right for me. And the truth is, all of us have that internal wisdom. All of us have that knowledge. All of us have access to the intelligence of the entire universe available to us all of the time, but we need to learn how to trust it. We need to learn how to access it and then trust it when it comes through. Yes? So that when the chance appears and we make a choice, we can know that it is for our best and highest good. I got lots of good Ernest Holmes quotes today. There is within each of us an intelligence which may be called upon, utilized, and experienced. Blessed are they who, having not seen, in confidence believe and recognize that in themselves the Creator of all things has poured forth a supreme gift, the ability to choose for themselves what they shall think, and thus create for themselves a life filled with all the good they can envision. When we are in that place of confidence in ourselves, confidence in the oneness with the universe, and you know the only reason why I'm reaching up there, I'm not talking to the guy up there, I'm just talking about the download, that download of inspiration. When we tap that, we can trust ourselves because we are trusting the wisdom inside. So now we come to our third C, which is change. Everybody go like this. Change is not my favorite word, particularly if I'm the one who needs to change, right? I'm all about y'all changing. Not so much myself. However, it's one of those constants in life, yes? Change? It's essential for our growth. It is essential for our evolution. And even more than that, just like Amy's song was, everything must change. It is inevitable. It is inevitable. It is natural and it is normal. Somebody wise once said, if nothing changed, there would be no butterflies. Did you guys see in the news about all the butterflies in California? Do you see that? Just like millions and millions of monarch butterflies because of all the rain they had there, and they're all making their way up to the Pacific Northwest. It's just like a mass. Okay, I went off on a tangent. It happens, you know. So because we are people who are endeavoring to live this more awake, this more aware life, then shouldn't we actually embrace change consciously and on purpose? Are you feeling a little icky right now? Like, oh God, I know I am. Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. And so doesn't it make sense, like what Kathy and Vic are doing? Doesn't it actually make sense that we would actually look for ways to change and to grow rather than just allow changes to happen to us? Shouldn't we actually seek them out? So we've already learned that chances show up for us by right of consciousness, how we think. And we've already learned that when a chances appear, we have a choice as to what we're going to do with it, whether we're going to act on it. So now we're going to learn about how to change in order to take advantage of the chance and the choice. So continuing with my story, after the chance of being a minister appeared, I made the choice as to which one I wanted to do. And it turned out that choosing was the easy part, because then I had to actually change in order to accommodate the choice. Yes? For instance, I gave up any sense of free time for a really long time. I worked a regular job 4 days a week, and I did ministry 3 days a week. I commuted I had to do the conversion to kilometers so you would know what language I was speaking. I had to commute about 65 kilometers one way 3 times a week to go to the center. So my cushy in-town job that I had also created years before that, not so much, because now all of a sudden I was commuting again. Eventually, I actually moved to the community where the center was in order to actually be there and be part of the community that I was serving. So that was some of the physical changes that I had to do. It was nothing compared to the internal changes that I had to do. For instance, I had never been a leader before. I had always been in a support, kind of subordinate role. This is the first time that I was the decision maker. Oh my God. I had to rely on my internal compass and a whole lot of prayer in order to become the leader that I had been hired to do. Because in ministerial school, it's all theoretical. It ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. And trust me, I blew it a lot. But I learned from my mistakes, and I changed where I needed to change. And now, 20 years later, I still blow it a lot. And I still learn from my mistakes, and I change again. And the truth is, sometimes I change kicking and screaming. And sometimes I do it more graciously and on purpose. The Japanese have a business method called Kaizen. Are you all familiar with Kaizen? It means continuous, slow improvement or change for the better, but it is taken on consciously. Continuous, slow improvement or change for the better. So when we choose to take Kaizen as a spiritual practice, and we say, okay, I am going to consciously, continuously, slowly improve and change for the better, what we find is that the change is more long-lasting because it's on purpose. It becomes more permanent. For instance, when I first wanted to become a minister, I didn't understand why it would take 7 years. I'm smart. I can read the books. What's the problem here? But I was told that it was the consciousness of ministry. It was the embodiment of it. I'm using all of our buzzwords here, our jargon words, but it was allowing ourselves to steep in the teaching that would allow to become a good minister. And that takes time. Because this is not a job that comes to anybody naturally. It requires Kaizen. It requires continuous, slow improvement and change. And the same thing is true for anything meaningful, anything that's important for us. It takes chance and recognizing it. It takes choice and trusting it. And it takes change by doing it. Happy St. Patricia's to all of you. Go have some fun, drink some green beer for me. I love you, and so it is.